Hello, everybody. Adam Parks here with another episode of Receivables Roundtable. Today, I'm here with my longtime friends, the current president of the National Creditors Bar Association, Mr. Steve Markoff, and my good friend Liz Terry, who is the executive director with the National Creditors Bar Association. How are you guys doing today?
Good, Adam. Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. It's fun to have the NCBA crew here on video, and so much to talk about today. But, just to kind of kick things off, Steve, could you start off and just tell everybody a little bit about yourself and how you got to the seat that you're in today?
Sure, absolutely. And let me start off by congratulating you, Adam, on completing your term as president with the RMAI,
Thank you
on
so
a
much.
recent successful conference, as always.
Greatly appreciated.
Yeah, so for me, I'm going on year 16 in the industry, which is funny. I've been involved with the NCBA for that long as well. And I used to be the young guy, right? Second generation Markoff. But that's how I got here. I am the second generation Markoff in Markoff Law. We are based in Chicago, creditors' rights law firm. We're based in Chicago, but we operate in 5 states. Besides for Illinois, we are in Wisconsin, Kentucky, Ohio, and Michigan. And again, I've been doing it 16 years. My father founded the firm with his partner back in 1980. And so, now it's he's
a strong creditors' rights firm.
Exactly. And you know what? I've NCBA 30 years, right? I grew up NCBA or NARCA at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Even in law school, I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I knew I'd never be a creditors' rights attorney.
That worked out.
So go figure. But 16 years later, no regrets. I love what I do. I love who I work with, the friends and colleagues I've made. And, again, I'm the current president of the NCBA. My father is a past president and current chair emeritus. So we're the first father-son combo president of the organization, which I'm super proud of. But I honestly think my father's probably, more special to him than it is to me.
Well, I think that brings up some really interesting points, and I look forward to doing a webinar with you later this year talking about generations and collections and kind of rounding that conversation out, because I do think there's some really interesting things to unpack in that discussion. Liz, how about you? Could you tell everybody a little bit about yourself and how you got into the seat today?
Yeah, absolutely. I guess similar to Steve, I did not plan to work in associations, and certainly didn't even know of NCBA or NARCA when I started my career. But I live in Washington, D.C., and associations are everywhere. There's an association for literally everything. And I landed in the finance space within the association world, and basically climbed and took on different leadership roles until landing at NCBA about 3.5 years ago now. It's hard to believe it's been that long now, but 3.5 years in, and
right in time for a global pandemic.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
6 months into my career, we were at March 2020, so that was cool.
Wow. Well, I'm sure that there's a lot that we can learn from that entire process. And I know that most of our audience is going to be familiar with the National Creditors Bar Association, but could you tell everybody a little bit about NCBA and what you guys do there?
Yeah, so our mission is really to support, promote, and protect the practice of creditors' rights law. And so our job as a trade association is to represent our segment of the industry within Washington from an advocacy perspective, in the states from an advocacy perspective, provide education to our membership. We specialize on creditors' rights CLE for our members, which I think is pretty unique. Certainly you can go anywhere to get CLE. The American Bar Association has tons, but if you want creditors' rights specific, we're one of the go-tos for that. And of course we have events as well. So I think those are sort of the highlights of what a member comes to NCBA for, but I'm sure Steve, you have a perspective maybe that why has your firm been involved for as long as it has?
No, that's absolutely right, Liz. I mean, from advocacy to networking to business development, you get it all with the NCBA. And my father will attest to how his practice grew because of his membership. within NARCA and CBA. And I think to this day, it draws, we have such a diverse membership, right? We have so many small law firm members with 1 or 2 attorneys. And then we have plenty of members who are law firms of 25 plus attorneys. And really, and Adam, as you know, the role of an executive director, I mean, Liz does not have an easy job, right? How to represent the interest of such a diverse membership, right? And it's always a challenge, but I think the organization does a phenomenal job.
Well, the events are always been part of like my social calendar throughout the years, right? So, and I think I went to my first NCBA in 2006. So I've been around the space for a little while here, but there was always the spring conference and the fall conference, and I know that now it was changed up a little bit this year, but it sounds like we're going back to the kind of the standard schedule. I unfortunately was unable to make the executive experience in California just due to my travel timing. But what happened this year? Like, how did it go?
Well, the event itself was awesome. We had some travel challenges with mudslides and other interesting problems as we traveled through, trying to get to Santa Barbara and then Ojai in January. But once we were there, it was an awesome time. We focused, one of the things our members were saying to us is, yes, we need the big conference. We need the opportunity to meet with our clients to potentially grow our client base. But we also need time to talk amongst our peers and to learn what others are trying. There are challenges across all industries that fall into the categories of, how do you deal with consolidation in the industry? What does M&A look like if that's something, is that an option that makes sense for you? Hiring and retaining talent is another one that is pretty global, but our industry has specific issues, and getting together and talking about those challenges, some of the tactics and solutions that people have tried and things that have worked and not worked was really important. So the executive experience was designed around bringing our members together to talk about those business practice issues.
That's interesting. Yeah. So from my perspective, it sounds like you guys have split the conferences, and now there's one where you're working in your business, right? And you're working on your client interactions and compliance and kind of the standard things that we've all gone to conferences for the years, but you're trying to focus the executive experience on working on their business, right? Like working on how you operate your own business, not just from a flow perspective, but general business problems that we're all facing. And I think often people forget that law firms are businesses too, right? And I think that from the outside, we look at it and we go like, oh yeah, well, you're running a law firm. Well, no, you still have the same business challenges. You have recruitment and retention and all these different things that you are facing, just like the collection agencies and the debt buyers and everybody else. Really any kind of business, whether in or outside the industry, which I find to be it's a refreshing way to look at the law firm business. So I know this year and over the next month here, we've got Denver coming up, and that's kind of the standard conference styling, right? So what's going on in Denver? What do I have to look forward to? I've got my registration in.
All right. So rebranded as NCBA Connect. It'll be an annual event going forward. It is in May this year and will in the future be October each year. So we shifted just for 2023. We have the client meetings that everyone is sort of knows about and keeps an eye out for what clients are coming. We have lots of the issuers like Amex, Bank of America, Discover, Chase, Barclays, Citi. I'm sure I'm missing a couple. And also, networks and debt buyers like Track America, Midland, PRA, Crown, etc. So those meetings will be going on. The other piece of why people come to the conference is networking as well as CLE, so education, that side. From a CLE perspective, we are offering 14 or more CLEs this year. And those are unique sessions. None of them are overlapping, so you can actually come and get 14 CLEs should you like to. There are 3 ethics sessions within that and a specialty credit. So we are really ramping up and trying to provide our members with the compliance tools and education that they need to do their businesses back home or to take care of their business back home.
Awesome. Well, and I've actually never been to Denver before, so I'm really looking forward to this particular conference. It's the first time in a long time I'm going to a new city.
Bring some Gatorade.
I'll be prepared. So, Steve, what's got you excited about NCBA Connect this year?
Yeah, you know what, Connect, I'm really excited for. I think it's gonna be a big conference. I think we're gonna have a great turnout. Ever since COVID, bouncing back from COVID, every conference we've seen an increase in attendance and energy, right? Which I love. Seeing clients, seeing colleagues, friends, and like Liz said, the CLE, they're always great sessions.
Celebrate 30 years.
Yes. And that is extremely meaningful. And I'm glad you brought that up, Liz, right? But this is our 30th anniversary conference, which,
oh, wow.
I think the first, and Liz, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the first, was it truly in 1992 or 93. And I think kind of the first official conference was in 93 when NARCA was created. And so now we're celebrating 30 years, which is just so meaningful. And to think back on how far we've come as an organization and an industry, the level of sophistication. And really, we get together and we talk about all the hardships and all the challenges. But wow, if you take a step back and you look how the industry has adapted and changed over the years, I really think we all have something to be proud of. And I say that for, in the creditors' rights, the legal collection industry, as well as, even going to RMAI, the debt buyers, we are so, it's all about compliance, right? Mm-hmm. Regulation. And we really have some sophisticated members, as well as the thought leadership in the room. That's something that excites me. I've learned so much from my peers. And, if you're a fan of Hamilton, the room where it happens, right? You want to be in the room where it happens. That's what I feel like when I go to the conference, right? And meet with the peers who are really on the front lines of the industry.
Well, it sounds like we've got a lot to look forward to in Denver, and hopefully I'll be able to convince you to do one of the new Why We Go videos with me, and we can film on site from the conference, because I think you're going to have another great show out there. I'm looking forward to seeing all my friends and all the opportunities for the networking, the educational items, and all of that. So, thank you so much, guys, for coming on today. I really appreciate you guys giving me the insight as to what's going on at NCBA and how I should be adjusting my calendar for next year. Which reminds me, can you give me some insight into next year's calendar? How should I be planned for NCBA next year?
All right. First, I'm going to have you, we're doing Cheers to 30 Years on Thursday at 5 at the reception at the conference.
Okay.
So join us this year, May, I guess that would be the 4th, for that. And next year, 2024, we will have executive experience, likely middle of the country or East Coast, since we were all the way on the West Coast. This year. It will be in the spring. So as I don't know the exact location, we're still nailing down our hotel contract with, so we'll be able to announce that soon. But our NCBA Connect conference in 2024 will be in New Orleans on October 23rd through the 25th. So mark your calendar.
All right. Well, I'm definitely going to be marking my calendar. That is another city that I've never actually been to. I think I landed there once on a flight diversion, but that was about it.
I know about those.
Yeah. It sounds like you had some interesting travel experiences so far this year. I hope that your trip to Denver is far less eventful.
Thanks.
For those of you that are watching, if you have additional questions that you'd like to ask Steve, Liz, or myself, you can leave those in the comments below. If you have additional topics you'd like to see us cover, you can ask those in the comments below as well. And I will be attending the NCBA Connect conference in May. So in the description below, you'll also see a link to schedule some FaceTime with me. And let's sit down and have a chat while we're at the NCBA show this year. But until next time, guys, thank you so much for coming on. I look forward to seeing you guys next month in Denver. And we'll see you soon.
Thanks a lot. I appreciate you having us.
And for those of you watching, thank you so much for your time. We'll talk to you soon.